Hello there people, Weston here. Here's the second batch of demos from GOG's Spring Festival of 2022. I hope you like them. First up, game number 6 is Potion Tycoon. Potion Tycoon is a tycoon game, a genre notoriously difficult to get right. You buy ingredients, create recipes, hire workers, build facilities and use pricing, product design and advertising to make sales. You then invest back into R&D and scaling. The graphics are wonderfully stylized. They're not terribly detailed, but they are very consistent across all screens. It's parchment and witchcraft. The music is gentle and languid, appropriately so for the genre. The sound effects are very well chosen. The rustling of documents, clink of coins, ringing of the bell, all appropriate and satisfying to hear. The gameplay is comprised of what may seem like disjointed parts. Designing potions is its own minigame with an increasingly elaborate set of rules that grows to be positively overwhelming. You can spend an inordinate amount of time at the cauldron tinkering. The same general space is dedicated to container choice, marketing and pricing. Another screen entirely lets you handle shop design, ingredient purchases, staff management, event responses, and so on. I've had a blast playing this. The theme is wonderful, the brewing mechanics clever and reasonably easy to understand, the variety of content promising. You get 4 different types of potions for every active ingredient. The game's not perfect, at least the demo wasn't. I've had a laundry list of issues and suggestions, with some as basic as the ability to move equipment and decorations from room to room, or for the day's instant delivery to not get irrevocably cancelled just because you haven't unpacked the pallets yet. Quality of life improvements like the ability to prioritize tasks on your minions without assigning them to a given post permanently. This will probably all get ironed out and the game will turn many a witch and alchemist into a mixture manufacturing mogul. With a heavy heart, I give this 4 out of 5 stars. Bottling machine alongside some pallets. Over here we'll have the drying kiln and the mortar. Thus we'll process ingredients. The Vitamine potion, right? Yes, the Vitamine potion. Vitamine has run out. Obviously. Drills ready for a promotion. Well, let's give him the... Oh, they're all ready for promotions. Oh boy. Let's promote the alchemist. Give him more in terms of alchemy. A 3rd dot. Better provision potions, all increasing appeal, all making him tough. Better provision potions. That's a very powerful necromancy potion. Doesn't matter if it's toxic. Toxicity does not affect the appeal of this potion. Excellent. A 3.2 potent potion. Oh, wait. Stinkhorn, as expensive as this is, will make it into a 4.2 potion. That's absolutely amazing. That's the best way to increase the potency. Since fire is active, just add active fire to it. So anything I can do with herbs that would help. .4, but it's nowhere near as great as the original idea. 3.2, cute. But Stinkhorn is the way to go. This is the ultimate necro potion. Up next is game number 7, Ozymandias Bronze Age Empire Sim. Ozymandias Bronze Age Empire Sim is a 4X game, but much simpler and much shorter. This is a familiar twist, but something very difficult to get right. Ozymandias is deliberately minimalistic. You can always see the entire map at a glance, no minimap necessary. Everything is abstracted away into very distinct symbols. The sound effects are equally simple and functional. The music, finally, is a pleasure to listen to. It's got a bit of character and helps breathe life into the entire experience. The gameplay is necessarily simple. You have 4 resources: food, wealth, science, and power. You basically do everything you'd expect to do in a 4X game, but you do it quickly and simply. You expand, you do research, you build cities, you conquer territory, and you respond to random events. To win the game, you collect crowns. You get crowns for completing great feats like owning a lot of money or a huge territory. The way this works out is that there is no mop-up phase. You never end up in a scenario where you're on unstoppable falls and you just need to go through the motions to lead the game into the foregone conclusion. Every time I thought to myself, I've got this now. I know exactly what to do from here. Nobody can stop me. The game ended almost immediately afterwards. I've played this a surprising lot. This game delivers on its promise. It gives you a 4X experience with matches that last about an hour. I've had a whale of a time. This might not be a game for everyone because this very deliberate and strong design choice has profound consequences. But I find it marvelous at what it does. 5 out of 5 stars. The game is great. This will absolutely be conquered. New spaces will be threatened. Chariots! Oh, 300 science to get 3 attack for 3 turns. Or the palace to get a crown. Nope, I want the chariots. I do need more science, but that's something I can acquire quite easily. There we go, 10% of income on science. I'll get the necessary science for next turn. Or I could just reduce waste, that's also an option. Reducing waste was a wise idea anyway. Let's stay at 11 and get some gold. Let's not spend any science for obvious reasons. Push further here. Apply pressure there. All here. That's also an option. No, further away from the enemy armies. Flag this for 1. And grow it another city? Yes, please. Let's grow this one. This is contested, but I should win this. I do win this. Excellent. I'll get all 3 of these tiles, all 3 tiles here. Yes! I could build a zoo. Catastrophe, not gonna happen. The epic poem is presumably not going to happen. This is not going to happen, that much I know. I could go for the silly zoo. And then the great lighthouse. If I own a couple more tiles and build a zoo, then I just win as well. I would need more food though. But if I just wait until next time, I win on money. So none of this matters. Once again, the game is about collecting crowns or victory points. It's not about obliterating absolutely everyone. That's not the point. So I end the turn here. And even though I refuse to get more power, I still win I still win because I get rewarded with 3 crowns. I just need 2 more. I've satisfied the conditions and I have achieved victory. Somehow. In the middle of the pack we have the 8th game, Nightmare Reaper. Nightmare Reaper is an old school FPS with a bevy of randomized content to keep it fresh. The graphics are deliberately retro, with enemies and items being billboards, 2D sprites always facing the player like cardboard cutouts with servos. The terrain is 3D, with rough edges and pixelated textures. The music, when it pops up, is intense, full of brutal energy, letting you revel in the slaughter. You might expect the gameplay to be boringly predictable, but don't let the looks deceive you. The game does something really interesting. You don't go through a linear sequence of handcrafted levels with ammo and weapons carried over. The levels are randomly generated, and weapon drops resemble Diablo more than they do Doom. You randomly come across items of varying quality with random additional properties. I got my hands on a grenade launcher with a sniper scope and a magical book of ice bolts. To help you cope with this deluge of stuff, everything draws from a common pool of 3 ammo types: bullets, shells, and mana. As you leave the level, you can pick a very limited number of things to carry over to the next one. The money you collect, I think, can be used to acquire permanent upgrades. Don't let the looks deceive you. There's much more to this game than meets the eye. Yes, it is deliberately stylized, but it's not yet another formulaic retro FPS. I think I've somewhat played it wrong too, since going through the levels patiently and methodically keeps you from keeping combos going and is significantly less fun than just running into rooms and gunning everything down. There are secrets to be found, but I think it would be best to first clear everything out and only then take the time to look for them. The stylistic choices Nightmare Reaper is married to might actually be among its weakest points. The mechanics and the gameplay really let it shine, and the music amplifies the experience, but the graphics could have probably been better, even respecting their self-imposed limitations. All in all, this is a very solid game, 4 out of 5 stars. Except you won't get one. Yes, I see they use different types of ammo. There's the regular bullets for the pistol. Used to be that shells get used by the grenade launcher. There we go, this is the ammo. Why would it use any sort of shells anyway? That makes very little sense. But then again, who am I to complain? What about the alternative attack though? What does it do? Oh my goodness, look at it! 3 different symbols, what do they do? Okay, firing mode 1. It bounces, and then... oh yeah, that's the bouncy one. This one presumably explodes on impact. Oh, that's a mine! Proximity mine, and the third one is the one that explodes on impact. So there's bouncy, there's mine mode, and then there's impact mode. Impact mode is the way to go. Oh no! Orbs! What? What are you? What the hell? Destroy the trap orb. What is that? Oh, that's the trap orb, isn't it? Interesting. Fine, let's go. lots of ideas. Number 9 is Guild of Darksteel. Guild of Darksteel is a dark pixelated rhythm game. It's described as an adventure game, tagged as an indie platformer, but it's a rhythm game. Bear with me, I'll elaborate shortly. Let's get to the presentation. Deliberately unclear and bleak. The characters do not have faces, they have shaded sheets of skin draping the front of their heads. No eyes, no noses, no mouths. The entire world is depersonalized, grim and depressing. The music is largely wistful, with the notable exception of combat music, which is punchy and intense. The sound effects are satisfying to hear. I've called this a rhythm game, and I stand by that. You run around a 2D world, collecting items and talking to people. In the process, you sometimes hop over a pit or pull yourself up a ledge. Somewhere in all of that, you encounter enemies. Now, if you were to kick them off ledges, kite them around the dungeon, or fight more than one at a time, I could see this as something like Super Mario, or even Streets of Rage, but that's not how the game works. When you touch an enemy, you enter a different mode, a pitched fight. This makes the regular platforming mode essentially an overworld filled with encounters. Within each fight, you cannot move and can only press one of 4 buttons: block, attack 1, attack 2, and attack 3. You string the attacks together to form combos, but you have to time these correctly. You also have to time your blocks. Your enemies very clearly telegraph their attacks. You need to block these, and only afterwards follow up with an appropriate riposte, making sure that the guard is down when unleashing your first hit, lest you ruin your entire combo string. One-on-one combat, you might think. Is this like Mortal Kombat then, a fighting game? No, because you can't move, so there's no footsies, and because the enemies attack with what appears to be fixed patterns at constant intervals. The theme doesn't really support this. In fact, it really doesn't support this. But of all the genres, the core gameplay most closely resembles a rhythm game. That aside, the game has a really strong and disturbing tone. It permeates everything. The protagonist is a man cursed with immortality, alongside other dark steel-clad individuals. The world around him is filled with murder, corruption, and grief. All of this is quite tastefully depicted, and I wonder what horrors lie beyond the demo's content. Story aside, the core gameplay is dead simple. There's very little that can be done to improve that. You seem to learn a variety of new moves down the line, as well as upgrading the ones you already have. But every enemy of a given type fights you in the exact same way. There's a reason why you don't have rhythm games where you play through the same 10-second snippet 5 times in a row. But thankfully, as soon as you figure the gameplay out, you can largely blaze past these fights, and only have to pay attention when learning the patterns of new enemy types. So it's not that bad, it's just a shame that the core gameplay looks like that. This might have sounded damning, but I actually liked Guild of Darksteel. As much as combat might be disappointing, the story really carries the game. It had me push through screen after screen just to see what happens next. And if that doesn't make a game good, I don't know what does. That's 4 out of 5 stars from me. Darksteel sends me. Is that so? Well, I'm still the one with the key. And I'm the one with the broadsword. Open the door. Alright, no need to get angsty. Thank you. What the hell happened here? Are you trying to jump off of that? What are you doing up there? I'm dying, go away. Aren't you too young to die? Come down, kid. What's the point? Nobody cares about me now that my parents are gone. Well, I am asking you to reconsider, so someone must care. What's your name? Grisander. Why don't you tell me what happened, Grisander? Thieves killed my mom and forced my dad into giving them all his coins. Then they tossed him off the bridge. Why not me? Why did they let me live? You should be glad you lived. To what avail, except to find them and take their lives? You're a mercenary from the Guild of Immortals. How much to kill them? Nothing. You don't have that kind of money. Can I pay you later when I find a way to earn it? Listen, Cassandra. You don't want to go down that path. If all you can think of is revenge, then you will never grieve. What do you think your parents would want for you? A life of hatred? Please go, I want to stay with my mom for a moment. Oh, Grace, I'll kill them for you. The poor woman got her throat slit from side to side. It's not a pretty sight. The kid must be traumatized. Finally, there's game 10, the Magister. The Magister is a procedural, card-based murder mystery RPG. The graphics are somewhere between top-down and side-scrolling. You can clearly see the treetops from a bird's-eye view and the protagonist from the side. The perspective just makes no sense. The music is fairly generic, as are the sound effects. The gameplay revolves around your attempt to solve a mysterious murder. To that end, you collect clues, talk to witnesses and other townsfolk. Unfortunately, people aren't necessarily forthcoming with all the information they have, outside of the most direct witnesses and obvious suspects. If you want the active cooperation rather than pithy replies to direct questions, you'll have to build up your relationship with them. All these things are accomplished via quests, which take time, as day turns to night as you travel between locations in search of local bandits, wild beasts, or rare flowers. Combat takes place on a square grid with actions determined by cards out of your combat deck. The mechanics are advanced enough to be interesting. Outside of that, if you try to talk people out of combat, you enter another card-based struggle called tactical diplomacy. You can level up, upgrade your gear, and even recruit a kittenal puppy to assist you. The central promise of the game, however, and the central premise of it, is the randomness of every playthrough. You don't get saddled with the same story every time. You get different events and clues and must reason your way through them to unravel the truth. I appreciated the novelty of the game. The writing is interesting, and there seems to be a fair bit of content to discover. The presentation was somewhat of a disappointment. The art style was all over the place, which is hardly surprising since these seem to be ready-made assets cobbled together rather than a custom-made work of art. The animations are very limited, making the worlds seem quite stiff. The mechanics are solid, the writing is good, the concept is fun. That would ordinarily help underneath for voice acting, but since the story is procedurally generated, it would not be a reasonable expectation here. There's a hint of tedium to how I'd presume you'll have to run errands for every single person in town every single time you play the game, even though all you really want is to get to the bottom of things. But that's perfectly sensible too, it's a cool mechanic. Ultimately, the only thing really putting me off is the presentation. I know hiring an artist, animator, an audio guy or girl is expensive, but I would love for that to happen since there's a solid core to this game. It just needs to be decorated more tastefully. The developer, however, is a one-man team, and I respect the fact that he's managed to put all of this together all by himself. Nevertheless, I don't hand out participation trophies here. The game is competent, but fails to rise beyond that. It's a 3 out of 5. So, oh great, great. How much of an idiot am I role-playing this guy as? Actually, the first option is the best for a variety of things. Interesting, what exactly is it that you do? She bursts out laughing at your question. Laugh is strangely attractive, deep and gravelly, but sweet. Yeah, no kidding. It's not quite what you think, Magister. I am an intellectual courtesan. Yes, of course you are. Instead of satisfying your physical needs, I am highly skilled in satisfying the deeper needs of your mind. Well, this is not the best encounter because this man doesn't have too deep intellectual needs. She smiles again. It's a beautiful smile. People pay me money to help them forget. Do I have to pay her for that conversation? Do you do the physical stuff as well? Just curious. Still able to move past that part, eh? Well, yes, says no, I don't, so I disappoint you. Well, that's a very interesting line of work. It's really worth paying money to just forget something. Well, worth and value are rather subjective. I'm certain you'll change your mind eventually, Magister. Why not give it a try? I might even give a special discount. Just to have someone as important as the Lord Magister spend time with. I'm not trained to forget anything. She gives you an amused look, then stares deep into your eyes. If that were true, you wouldn't be searching for oblivion at the bottom of a ball, Magister. Your drinking problem is only a symptom. Spend some time with me, and I can help you resolve the real cause. Once again, a disarming smile. If you can afford me. Hey, Yura! Good morning, Magister. Magister, no! Please stop! Leave me alone, Magister, I don't know anything! Thank you for watching this second part of the GOG Spring Festival 2022 demo overview. Even though the festival is over, I still plan to cover all the demos included. I don't see why I shouldn't. I hope you've enjoyed the video and thus you'll see me elsewhere.